Yo, so this is Mark from Enchantment of Eternity here. Now, I just wanted to come on real quick, give my thoughts on this news that dropped. I'm busy working on these other videos that I'm really behind on, but I wanted to just real quick give my thoughts. I'm actually too lazy to do this live, so I'm just recording it and just going to throw it out there. Um, the Expanse has been renewed for season 6, but there's a gigantic caveat with that, and that caveat is it's going to be the final season. Now, a lot of times when the show announced that, oh, our next season is going to be our final season, I'm okay with it because that means they have time to plan it out and to take it to a good conclusion. I mean, there's examples like Breaking Bad or, God, I think Black Sails. I don't know, there's some examples where it's like, you know that they wanted to end, the showrunners wanted to end when it's a good, where the show's still good, not when it's gone to shit. Dexter! and they wanted to bring it to a close as satisfactory. So I think, well, that's great news. But this is a little different because The Expanse is based off of novels, and I have happened to read those novels. And there's 8 so far, but there's the final book, and again, the final book, but then the authors are bringing it to a good conclusion, which will make it 9 books. So the Expanse TV show is going to end after season 6, and most likely will only cover up to book 6, which means we're going to be missing out 3 books of the saga. Now, there's a lot of speculation out there. Now, so some people would say, oh, maybe it is like a Breaking Bad situation, but I actually think it's more like a BoJack Horseman situation. Because BoJack Horseman got, they announced the show was going to end before season 6, kind of like the same thing, and they released season 6, and that was its final season. But in that case, like the showrunners said that they wanted to keep going with BoJack Horseman, but Netflix gave them the heads up, be like, look, we're only going to renew you for 1 more year. So okay, so they wrote it so that season 6 was the final season, but they weren't really planning on doing that. They would have went for season 7, season 8, but because Netflix, in fact, the showrunner of that show said that he even asked Netflix to give him a heads up, and they did. Which, it could have been worse. They could have just said season 5, you're done. But no, they're gracious enough to be like, okay, 1 more season, then you're out. And I guess it's kind of true of the leftovers too, but I think the showrunners themselves asked for it to be the final season. Or, I don't know, it was HBO that said that this will be your last, and they're like, okay, that's fine. Like, they didn't even want to go beyond season 1, so that was something different. So, yeah, I think this is more of a BoJack Horseman type situation where they weren't planning on ending the show. The showrunners, the creative minds behind it, weren't planning on ending the show after season 6, but because of the Amazon, which just really surprises me. I don't know what's going on Amazon because I thought this was one of their more popular shows, or at least I thought it was doing really good. But apparently not. Yeah, so they said they want to bring it to an end. Now, again, it could be worse. Amazon could have been like, nah, season 5 is it, you're not renewed. At least they're renewing it for season 6, which is a very good thing. Because if you read the books, book 5 ends in kind of a cliffhanger. Now, I don't know for certain that season 5 is going to end at the same point book 5 does, but if it does, there's a damn good thing we're getting another season. And the end of book 6 is kind of an end. Like, it's not a cliffhanger. It is kind of an ending, and the next book sort of starts a new kind of saga, a new kind of story, but within the same saga, if you know what I'm saying. Kind of the same way season 4 did after season 3 ended. But here's the thing. Book 7, 8, 9, which, if we're going by this, I'm not sure, but if this is true, that season 5 is going to go to book 5 and season 6 is going to go to book 6, then we're going to miss out on 7, 8, and 9. Why was 6 afraid of 7? Because 7, 8, 9. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, we're going to miss out on 7, 8, and 9. And that's quite an important chunk of the story. In fact, parts of what I assume is going to be in season 5 and 6 will be setting the stage for those final books, which is not going to happen now. Because I know for a fact that the showrunners weren't planning it this way, because they even said that they, at one stage, like not too long ago, I think while season 4 was being released, that they were hoping, they weren't certain, but they were hoping they could go the full 9 seasons to do one, to cover all 9 books. But all the statements they're putting out is like, oh, we're all happy, we love Amazon, thanks for giving us this opportunity to finish the show. So they are talking about wrapping the show up entirely. Now, alright, I'm going to get into some slight spoilers now. They're not very, very heavy, but if you're very sensitive to spoilers, you don't want to know anything about future seasons that have not aired yet, then maybe skip ahead 2 minutes. But here's the thing about books 7, 8, and 9. They tell their own story that wraps up the proto-molecule. The season 5 and 6, or books 5 and 6, do not really address the proto-molecule at all. So if they end after book 6, then we're not going to get a resolution to the proto-molecule. Also, books 7, 8, and 9, at the start of book 7, so at the end of book 6, there's a 30-year gap. So a lot of people are saying that actually is a good place to end the series, because it would have been difficult to age up all the actors, and that way they don't have to worry about the 30-year gap. They can just end after book 6. But if they do it like the way the books are written, then there's going to be a lot of missing things that are never resolved, particularly about the proto-molecule. So, I don't know. And there's some speculation that they are going to try to weave into some of the resolution of the proto-molecule into season 6, into the final season. That it's not going to be exactly the way book 6 is written, that they're going to try to kind of with skipping some of the specifics of book 7, 8, and 9, but kind of to try to weave in some of the resolution to the proto-molecule stuff in the final season. I don't know, that could be disastrous. I gotta be honest, this show has improved upon the books in some places, but then when they try to rush a story, such as season 3, such as book 3, where they totally rushed through book 3, and I think really diminished the power of that book, which was my favorite book, by the way. So it worries me that they might try to get to the same end point of the entire book series after the end of season 6, that we might have a sort of Game of Thrones type scenario. Now, it's funny because I read a comment online saying, well, hopefully it won't be as bad as the ending of Game of Thrones, and someone responded to that comment saying, well, that is a very, very low bar to clear. Which is totally true. It is an incredibly low bar to clear, but hopefully, they at least clear. I have faith they will at least clear that bar, but whether or not, because it seems like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Either they're just going to miss out a huge chunk of the story, or they're going to do some rushed way to get to the resolution at the end of book 9. So, yeah, I'm not too pleased. I gotta be honest, I'm quite disappointed about this news. It's different than something like Breaking Bad or The Leftovers, or even BoJack Horseman, because then they're like, oh, we can get to a proper ending. But here, this is based off a book. You are either missing a huge chunk of the story, or you're gonna rush through a huge chunk of the story. Either one is not very good. Now, some people are suggesting that they could just end where book 6 ends, and then, since there is a 30-year gap, they could do a revival a couple decades later, so that the actors actually look the roles now, and which I suppose they could. But anyway, speaking of actors, the other news is that Cass Anvar is not going to be in season 6. Now, if you've been under a rock or you haven't heard, Cass Anvar is the actor who plays Alex Kamal, and he has been accused of a whole slew of sexual harassment. This happened this past summer after season 5 had already filmed. So he's going to be in season 5. That's already done in the books. But he's not going to be in season 6. Which, and again, I don't know how they're going to handle that. If they're going to kill Alex off screen, or if they're going to recast. Now, both options are not good, but to me, the lesser of two evils would be to recast. Even if it is just book 6, which Alex wasn't a huge part of book 6, you wouldn't be missing a lot by cutting Alex out of season 6. But even so, it just wouldn't feel right without him. I would rather have a stranger, I mean, they recast Avasarala's husband, and I fucking hated that recast. So, I mean, but Alex, of course, is a lot bigger, more important character. He's one of the main characters. He's one of the 4 Rocinante crew. But then, like Game of Thrones recast a lot of characters, like the Mountain or Dario. Now, maybe you could argue Alex is more important than Dario, but I mean, a lot of people complained about it, and that was a really stark recast too, because that actor played the character totally different than the first one. It was barely even the same character. You're like, who the hell is this guy? And it felt really jarring. So there's a possibility you could have the same situation with Alex if they did recast him. But honestly, to me, that would be preferable to saying, oh, he died off screen, because he's been such an important character throughout the years. You don't want to just be like, oh, he fell into a hole, or his ship got blown up in between seasons. No, fuck that. I would hate that. I'd much rather have a Dario situation where it's like really jarring and totally different actor than him just fall in the hole. So... But that's me. I read one article saying that they said specifically the way they phrased it was Cass Anvar's Alex will not be in season 6. Which I don't know if that's actually correct. Maybe they just misrepresented that because Cass Anvar himself's not going to be in season 6, and they represented that Alex isn't. Maybe Alex is just not played by Cass Anvar. But maybe not. Maybe they were accurate. But I have seen a lot of these like articles and stuff, Hollywood, TV celebrity reporting things be inaccurate in their wording in the past. So I wouldn't put it past them for that to be the case. But we'll see. Anyway, I guess that's it. That's all my thoughts on this. At least they didn't cut it mid-story. I would say that. And I feel like we've already been through this, like with season 3. But it is still worth them reviving it for Amazon, because they get another 3 seasons. So it will be on Amazon for the same amount of time it was on Sci-Fi. Although I believe it will have less episodes, because I think the Sci-Fi seasons 2 and 3 went for 13. And as 4 and 5 go for 10. Now hopefully 6 will go for more than 10. I'm hoping. Fingers crossed on that one, especially, because it's the final season, and especially if they do try to get all the way to the end of the story, they're definitely going to need more than 10 fucking episodes, especially if season 5 ends with book 5, which I highly suspect it will, and they have to get through this book 6 material, and if they want to get all the way to the end of book 9. Now, granted, in that scenario, they would probably skip over a lot. I mean, a lot. Like the 30-year time jump, they would probably not even bother with that, and it would skip over a lot of things and just do a sort of, a condensed version of where they get to the same point where the books end, which I get shudders just thinking about that, because that's what Game of Thrones did. Low bar. It's a low bar to clear. Trust me, this show's gonna clear that low bar. Anyway, In that case, I would much rather they just end it at the book 6 material, even though a huge chunk of the story would be missing and you would get no resolution to the proto-molecule. At least it'll be something. Anyway, that's it. And that's all I got to say for my thoughts on this. Very disappointed, but could be worse. Definitely could be worse. Not the worst thing in the world. At least we got season 5 to look forward to next month, and then season 6 in a year or two, depending on COVID or how things go. But at least it's coming. We'll at least get season 6. So fingers crossed it's going to clear that low bar. Anyway, thanks so much for watching this. Be sure to check out my coverage of The Expanse, as I will cover the shit out of The Expanse when it comes out. I'll be doing a video every week reviewing it. I'll be doing a live stream every week as well. So, yeah, and my book to show comparisons will come later. Anyway, check out my channel for many more Expanse videos if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time.